Well, welcome back to day 38 of our 40-day prayer journey. We can see the end in sight. A few more days and a few more prayers specifically over this list. But let me tell you something, this list has come a long way. Things I never could have imagined happened in these last 37, now 38 days. But I want to talk about Climb the Watchtower, which is day 38. A couple things that I highlighted. The first is it says, the watchmen were the first to see, and they saw the furthest. So is it with those that pray. Mark Batterson is talking about how the watchmen would station themselves at the top of a watchtower, a guard post, so they could look out beyond the city to see when enemy armies would approach, or when they could see when caravans of other people would approach. They watched the walls. So is it with those that pray, because prayer gives us a unique vantage point. It reminded me of the John Maxwell quote, the difference between a leader and a follower is a leader sees further. I think it's kind of the same thing in our prayer life when we're leading others spiritually. We see further when we pray regularly. He goes on to say, with each answered prayer, we draw bigger and bigger circles. We act with more and more faithfulness because we keep increasing our faith every single time that we stretch in prayer. We build more faith and we can act in that faithfulness. With each kept promise, it increases our persistence quotient. We keep pressing in because we see promises kept and God moving in mighty ways. But then he has this unique little piece here, and I want to park here for a moment, kind of give you something to think about today. But he says, I believe that David revisited more than once the battlefield where he defeated Goliath. Abraham made a pilgrimage back to the thicket where God provided a ram. Peter rode out to the place on the Sea of Galilee where he walked on water, and each time it renewed their faith. The text doesn't say that, but if you think about it, those were significant moments in those Bible characters, people's lives. And they revisited those places more than likely to remind them of the provision, the protection, and the direction they received in that moment. He says going back to places of spiritual significance should be a part of our spiritual rhythm. I would say over the last 6 months, this has really kind of stirred in my heart those big shifts that God has created in my life. Where do I go back to remember that? And I'll tell you a place I'm excited about. This is why I wanted to park on it for a second. I'll give you a little quick story and then something to think about. A few years back was our last time going to Florida, to a certain area near Fort Myers in Florida, because a hurricane hit Fort Myers and completely destroyed the condo that we go to. And this is a condo that I've been going to probably at this point for the 13 years prior. Every year we go down there as a family between Christmas and New Year's and spend some time with our extended family. And every year I read The Circle Maker and I set my goals for the year. But a couple years ago, the hurricane that hit Fort Myers just totally destroyed the place that we went. So we had to pivot. The first year we pivoted to a new place that wasn't in Florida. The next year we pivoted to a different place in Florida, and it just didn't feel the same because I had circled so much in prayer at that place in that spot to start the year. And both times I felt like, okay, it feels a little out of whack starting my year because I had this spiritual rhythm, this spiritual pattern to reset my year. And this year is the first time that I will be going back there, reading The Circle Maker and doing a reset. Now, will it look different? Yeah, maybe. They rebuilt after the hurricane, but for me, it's a reminder that sometimes things take longer than expected, but the feeling of going back, unbelievable. And I can't wait to work through the content and just to see where that leads because it's a place of significance for me. So, here's my question for you. Where is a place of significance for you that you should incorporate in your spiritual rhythm? Here's what he says on 2:14. Going back to places of spiritual significance can help us find our way forward again. Where should you revisit? Where was a place that created a shift for you? And how can you use that to go forward again? That's our thought today for day 38. I'll see you tomorrow for day 39.